In this video, I'm going to show you how to manage your approvals, requests, and your feedback inside of Asana following the RACI methodology. Now, RACI is an approach in project management that basically assigns responsibility and accountability to all the project stakeholders so that everyone knows who is doing what, by when, and who is ultimately responsible for the completion and success of this project. So following Asana's basic breakdown of features, we have one person who's always responsible. That is our task assignee. So that will be the person that's assigned to the task, and you'll notice that Asana does not allow for multiple people or assignees per task. We believe that one person should be responsible to complete said task. You can assign duplicate tasks if you have a more complex task that needs to be broken down into different stages and you need multiple people to help complete that task. But that's what that typically looks like. On the accountability side, so who is a person that is accountable to completing this project and the success of this project and reporting on this project to all the involved stakeholders? That is typically the project owner or project manager, which can be assigned as a role in the overview section of your project. This person is ultimately going to be accountable to answer questions, update the stakeholders, and make sure that the project is ultimately successful. And then we have our consulted, the approvers, the people that are brought in to approve and give the green light and give feedback on the tasks that are moving through the project. And that's where we're going to spend some time in our demo today. And then we have our informed parties, the people that we are simply mentioning, like so. Often we'll see them CC'd inside of comments, or they're added as collaborators to those projects. Keep in mind that if you are adding multiple collaborators or informed personnel to your projects, when you add them here, it is typically defaulted where this checkbox is selected that says notify them when new tasks are added to this project. They're more so just being informed of what's happening as the project progresses, but they're not really involved or need to take any action throughout the duration of the project life cycle. And so in this example, I'm going to have 3 different tasks. So I'm going to create task 1, and we're probably already familiar with how this works. We would create a task either manually or via a pre-populated task template where we have a task that is moved or marked as approval, right? And so we can move this through like so, and we can approve said task and assign it to the person that is responsible for, taking care of it, and we can change the due dates. Great. So pretty manual, not super efficient. And as we've seen in the past, one of the things that does happen is when the task is approved, we mark it as approved, request changes, or we reject it. But then what happens is the task is removed from your My Task view. We don't see it as assigned to you anymore. So you either have to come in and unmark it as approval, or you have to create a subtask for yourself that's linked to this parent task so that you can complete the work within that task. So not super effective, and again, not very efficient to an overall workflow. So one thing that I am going to show you here, I'm going to move this back to a regular task, is this. We have a task that's in progress, and I'm just going to simply create a rule right here that states that when a task is moved to the to approve section, we are going to create this approval. So we're going to create a new approval. It's going to create as a subtask, as you can see, and we're going to basically say approve content in parent task. Like so. We're going to assign that to someone on our team for 2 days from now, and maybe we'll take it one extra step, right? If you have a separate project board, for example, where there are additional stakeholders or a leadership team that their only responsibility is to approve these tasks that come through, and you don't want them being bogged down in all the other statuses that need to happen, then you can multi-home this or add it to another project, which I've named requests and approvals. And so we can put it in the section we want, where now the people that are there, they have a separate board, separate rules, separate custom fields, and they would receive this as to be reviewed. All right, so now we are going to create this approval. We've got one approver there. It's added to an additional board, and now we're going to set, again, that due date. So great. We're going to create that rule. We're going to move it here. And let's see what's going to happen. Asana is running. We've got our subtask. It's been assigned for a couple of days from now. Great. There we go. This task has been added to the to be reviewed section. So again, another way that you can do it, but we want to further streamline everything that we're doing, within this process. So I'm actually going to go and backtrack just a second here. And the first half of this automation is going to simply be this. Rather than creating the approval as a subtask, I'm going to delete that, okay? And we're going to remove it from this other project. So the first thing we want to do is actually, let's just fully delete that rule. Why not? Let's just make sure there aren't any other rules here. Perfect. So I'm going to leave task 1 there. So I'm going to create another task, call it task 2. And now I'm going to state that when a task is moved to this section, we're going to do a couple of things, okay? Rather than creating a subtask for approval, we're going to mark this task as approval and convert it from an original task. So this is fairly new to Asana if you haven't used it yet. So a task is moved here, we're going to mark it as approval, and then we're going to assign it to someone. So we're going to create our assignee here, all right? And then we're going to add the due date for a couple days from now. And I have another custom field here called approval status. We're just going to call this to be approved. So again, the task has been moved to this section. We're going to convert it to a task approval. We're going to set that approval to 1 person, set the due date for 2 days from now, and then set the approval status. So let's just test that and make sure that it works. Got the lightning bolt running. There we go. It's been converted from a regular task to a task approval. Our approval status has been updated to be approved, and then it's been assigned to that individual. Great. So again, they're going to come in and they're going to approve it, and there it is, right? We just removed it from our My Task view, and there's no communication to the next person to say, hey, I've approved this, we're good to go, continue on with the process, right? So again, that individual will have to come in, unmark this, change this back to a normal task, and then we would move it to the ready to post section, right? And then reassign it to the original person, change the due date, all of those things. Again, not effective, not efficient, and not something we want to be spending our time doing. So if this is a project template or a project board, you set this up once and you never have to do it again. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create another rule. We already know what happens when a task comes here, but now we want to do the inverse and kind of reverse the actions that were already set out. So for my trigger, I'm going to come in when the approval status is set and when it's approved, okay? This is what I want to now happen. First off, we want to move it to the ready to post section. Maybe we want to set the assignee to the original person. We can keep the due date just for now. Okay. And then we want to clear that completion status. So rather than completing it, we want to mark it incomplete so that it shows up again in the person's My Tasks. So now we're moving this section to ready to post. We're assigning it to that other person, and we want to mark task complete. I'm going to actually add the due date here because we want them to get that notification. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is something that we often don't use, is adding this comment. So now we can come in and we can add on this or click on this plus sign, and we can say the person right here that either created this task or triggered the rule. So the person that would have, moved it to this section in the first place, but maybe we'll just do task creator, right? So at task creator, this task is now approved. Please proceed, right? So we're just having a bit of communication here. We're using some Asana logic to make sure that the right people are notified, and we're going to create this rule here. So again, let's just review the rules that we have. So the first one is when a task is moved to the approved section, we're going to mark the task as approval. We're going to set the assignee, we're going to set the due date, and we're going to set the approval to be approved. Then the next stage of it is when the approval is set to approved, we're going to move it to the ready to post, assign it to a new person, mark the task as incomplete, set the due date to tomorrow, and then we're going to add that comment. So let's just test that and make sure that it works. So let's go with task 3 here. Create a new task first. So, and we're going to move it to approve. We know what's going to happen. There we go. It's been converted, it's been assigned, and it's been to be approved. So then we're going to go in. Yep, looks good. And we're going to click on approved. And now we're going to see the ready to post automation is running. It's moved it. It's reassigned it. There we go. It's changed it to tomorrow. It's incompleted the task. And now, one more thing. Oh, it didn't do my last action. Maybe I didn't put it in there. Maybe I thought I did. Let's just go make sure. It should have moved it to approved. No, I didn't have space. Maybe in this case, actually, let's go back and edit that rule then, because I want it to do absolutely everything. Let's go and edit that. So rather than setting the due date, I want it to change my custom fields to now approved so that everyone has visibility on what's going on. Let's do that one more time. I like to see it completed. There we go. So let's move it to approve. Oh, Asana is going to run again. Great, awesome. We're going to approve this. It's going to move again. There we go. So now it's been moved to the ready to post. It's marked incomplete. It's been reassigned to the new person. And now we show it as approved. So those are a few different ways that you can approach this. I can only imagine Asana is getting better every single day. So I can only imagine that they're working on better ways to manage the approvals and change requests and all of those different actions that would need to be taken in the approval process. But for now, I think this is a really great way to make sure everyone's on the same page and make sure that you can manage your projects and tasks effectively. If this helped you, let me know. If you can think of a better way to do this, I would love to see it. Leave your comments down below, and thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.